Hello, this is Ariel Barclay, and this is my video for my CLI project with using an API. Okay, so this is my CLI class, and this is how we interact with the users. This method right here is the call method. This is what it puts up first when the user goes in. Let me show you. So, if I type in Ruby bin executable, it runs my executable file that leads to my CLI project file that has all of the files in it. So it runs it together as a group. So it runs this libcli project 1, and it runs all of these files, and it requires all of these gems: HTTP party, colorize, pry, JSON, and title case. These are the things that I've used to build my project, and I'll show you where they are. So let's go back to executable, and this is where we instantiate a new CLI. Like every instance of a CLI, this is where the first one comes up, and it what's the word? It starts it. Like it's like that boost, like here, like once you've run all of these files, then start them and put them into the terminal. So this is what happens when we run the executable file. There we go. Okay, so in our call method, which is the first thing that the user sees, is it puts welcome to USA holidays of 2019, because this is the API is the holidays all of 2019. I wasn't able to get 2020 because they didn't let me in on that information. I had to use an API key, and they wanted me to pay for the holidays of 2020, so I just used last year's. It says to see USA holidays by month, please enter the word month. And if you want to exit, please enter exit. So let's put in month. Let's see. Okay, now what do we have here? Now we get to our, this is, hold on, let's go back up to our call method. So API, and then it gets the data from the API and puts it into, so the call method, while the call method is running, it's also getting the data from the API here, up here. And it's, this API is the information that I got from the website. Here I can show you. Is this it? No, this is not it. This is right here. So this is the information that it had on the website that it was giving me an API for. This is the actual API. This is a hash that has a bunch of nested hashes in it, and it has and when you get to the key holidays, because it has keys and values, when you get to the key holidays, it has an array of other hashes within hashes. So yes, it seemed a little what's the word, overwhelming at first, but it turned out okay. And so our API, so we got the data from the API. So here's response. And so we did a variable, a variable response data, and we equal to that to JSON.parse, which is a gem that takes that information and formats it or parses it to usable data. And what that usable data is the response, the body of of this um, of this holiday API that I was using. So all of the information from the nested hashes. So all holidays is a variable that equals the response data that's been parsed. We want to do to each one of those keys and values. If the key equals holidays, I had to do that because in the API here, you can see that it has a key of status warning request, and the value of this is 200, and that's an integer. It was totally getting in my way. But I only needed all the holidays anyway. I didn't need the status, the warning, and request keys. I only needed the holidays. So I said so I made an if statement here. If the key equals holidays, put that value, and due to each value, we want each value to be returned, and we want to then start our USA holiday class here. And so what this is name, date, weekday, and public. These are, this is, what do they call them? Well, this is adder accessor for this, for my API here, for my list of months. So let's go back down to our CLI here, and then let's enter in a month. Let's do May, okay? And so all of these adder accessors, look, name, date, weekday, and public. So this is a holiday. This is the name of the holiday, the date of the holiday, the weekday, and whether it's public or a private holiday. And so that's what we did here. We took the USA holidays.rb, is the thing that transforms, well, that not transforms per se, but makes the data pretty. So you're not giving your user this. So your user doesn't come in and is just like, oh, what am I supposed to do with that? You know, hold on, where were we? Here we go. There we go. And so I did it in different colors to make it easier for, and festive, but make it easier also for people to be able to read it. And I color coded each one of those. And I did that here. I did that, come down here. Okay. I did that here in my CLI. As you can see, all of the values here are, they have the dot colorized. This is also a gem. And then they have the specific green, blue, red. I think I just made my terminal go away, but I want it back. So let's wait for that to load. And so right here, and so after the call method puts up the, oh, let's, yes. So after the call menu comes up, after the call comes up, which is what the user first sees, then it gets the API data, and then it calls on this method menu. So in the menu method, what we have here is we're getting input from the user. So input equals gets the information from the user, strip it, and then downcase it. So um, that's if the user, so that it's not case sensitive, right? So that it's not case sensitive, and so that um, we have no matter what the person puts in, like let's say, and we put month in, it'll still do it if you do it in all caps because you downcased it as so that it can read it as this thing here, month. And so if the input equals month, then we're going to put the month list. Let's see the month list here. The month list, um, so what we want to do is we're going to get the data we're going to get the information that was acted on by USA Holidays. And so this has an all, um, what is this called? Is it a class variable? Yes, a class variable that's an empty array that puts all of the holidays, all of the individual holidays into this array and it returns us back a list. And so what I did was for each individual holiday, let's go back to May. Go back to May. Uh-oh. Oops. Why did it do that? Okay. I might have made a mistake here with the next input. So let's do month again. Let's do May. Right. Okay, so let's go back. So every time you get a new instance of USA Holiday, this is what it does. At the initial instance, when it first starts up, you want the hash that it receives. Each of those for the K in the value, um, you want to, instead of doing and do of every single adder assessor, like name, at name equals name, at date equals date, at date equals weekday. I have it set up here with the key and the value. It's interpolated and then you send it to itself. And so in this part right here, I have if self responds to itself. So I didn't want all of the attributes. There we go. I was looking for that word. I didn't want all of the attributes that it has. Let's see, because in here you can see we have this UUID. I didn't really need that. I didn't need the country because I already declared it that it's the country. And I didn't put the weekday either, you know. So I really just wanted the name, the date. I didn't put observed. I didn't put the day that it was observed. And hold on, did I? Hold on. And I did do the weekday. What are you talking about? Yes, I did the weekday, the date, the if it was public or not, and the holiday. But I didn't need this UUID. I didn't need the country. I didn't need the day it was observed. And then I just wanted the name of the weekday, Tuesday. That's it. That's all I needed. And all of this other information I didn't need. So what I did in my code right here is that if any of these attributes matched anything in this hash, any attribute in this hash, or any key in this hash, then return that. If it doesn't, then don't do anything with it. you know, and this is the save method where you take all of those, all of the instances, like all of these individual holidays, right? And then you save it as one individual holiday. You save it into the all array. You shovel it. That's a little shovel method. Shovel it into this empty array, and it will give you back this list right here, which each one has its own attributes. Okay. So this is self.all. This is how you can read that class variable all. This is how you're like, hey, I want you to show this as well. So you just put all in there so that it knows that we don't just want the computer to see the information, we want the user to be able to see the information. And the only way to do that is, well, maybe, I don't know if it's the only way, but the way to do that is to make sure that you have a method that says show at all the class variable and its contents, which is the array full of holidays. This is my P format, which public stands for public format. And so the instance variable public, the attribute public came back to us as a true or false. It's a Boolean. So it comes back as true or false. You know, see this one is false, is public, is not public, and this one is true. It is a public holiday. That whether you want to know if it's a public holiday or not is important because you want to know if you get off of work. And so what I did here was if, so this is a ternary, is it ternary? Is that the right word? Ternary statement. No, that's not the word, but it's not a statement. But anyway, this means if it's true, then you're going to put national holiday. Then you're going to see the words national holiday, like here, like how we have down here. If this was true, this Memorial Day is a public holiday, so it returns national holiday. And if it's not a public holiday, then it returns this on the other side of the semicolon, private holiday, because that's the false value. This is the true value, that's the false value. Okay. And so with W format, this is my weekday format. This goes in to the weekday key and gets what I want. I want hold on. I want the name. I want the name that belongs to the date. And then I want that to be returned as a string. So at the weekday part of this hash right here, at this part, we want to go into date and we want to get the value of name. And that's what this is, and return it back to us as a string so that our user can see it as words and not as a bunch of words and symbols, just code, you know. Okay, and this is my class method, which we know it's a class method by using the self here, because we're going to be operating on itself. And what we want to do is find it by month. We want to be able to find things by month, right? So that's what happens when we enter this month here, May, right? We wanted to be able to find it by the month. And so when we entered in, we would get only the month. We wouldn't get anything else. So for itself, it's the holiday, all of the holidays. Remember that class variable all, that is the array that you put all the holidays into. You want to select them all, and for each of them, each holiday, you want the date number, the date number to be holiday, right? to be the specific holiday, and the date attribute, you want to be able to split it at this little doobop number, at this little dash here, right? Because when we want to be able to split it here at the dash so that we can operate on each one of these by itself, okay? And the reason why we want to operate on each these by itself, because then it will return to us an array. So this is now, so these three numbers are now an array, right? Because we split it into an array. And then we want it at index number 1, which the index starts at 0. So 2019 would be 0. 05 would be 1. And 01 would actually be 2. So that's where they are in the array. And then so all we want is index number 1. We want the second thing in the array because that's the month date. And then we want to turn that into an integer because this is actually a string. When it has the quotes around it, it's actually a string. So what you want to do is you want to turn that into an integer. And so that means 2 integer. And then we use this little gem here, date, semicolon, semicolon, month names, and then you put in the variable that equals all of this information that we just operated on each individual holiday at its date attribute. Then you split it into 3, take the number in the middle, and then make it a and then you want to make it turn that number into a string name. And that's if it does equal the month, whatever month you put in. So the user is going to put in a month, and if that month does equal the same as this that is returned, then you're going to get the information from that instance, from that month, not instance, month. From that month, you're going to get all the holiday information from that. All right. I just took us on like a whole whirlwind, but follow along with me here. So, okay, where were we? Okay, so here we are in our menu. And then, so we have month, we have exit. You know what, let's get a new terminal. I want to go back to it. I probably should have put a way to go back to the home screen once you've entered a month. I might do that later. But for right now, we're doing a video. Okay. So for our menu, which is called up here in our call method, right? If the input equals exit, then it says goodbye. So let's press exit. Okay, cool. It says it runs the method goodbye. So let's see our goodbye method. What is our goodbye method doing? Where is it? Goodbye. It puts goodbye and happy holidays and it makes it yellow. No. Goodbye and happy holidays, right? So there we are back to our original terminal here, which we're inside of the CLI project. Okay, so now also, what else does our menu method do? So if the is month, you return the list of months, and then you run the menu again. If the input does equal exit, then you put up the goodbye statement and you get out of Dodge. Um, but if if it's neither one of these, then you put invalid entry, then invalid entry shows up and it's the color red. So let's try. Let's try here. So let's double invalid entry. Please check your spelling and try again. Try again. Wow. Okay. So I did not see that last time that it, okay. Why did that do that? So let's save that. I had to try again. Apparently, I want my user to be very determined. All right. So for our month list here, so for USA holiday, uh, each instance, right? The USA holiday, all of them. What I wanted to do to each one, I wanted the holiday, right? I made a variable here to equal holiday, and at the date, I wanted to split at the dashes again, like we did last time. And then I wanted that middle number, and then I wanted to change it to an integer. But here I then changed the date into month names by the number, made it cyan, but what I was getting back was I was getting back for each holiday its month name. So for all of the, let's see, for all of the holidays of May, uh-oh, why did you do that? So for all the holidays of May, I was getting, how many is in here? Well, it's a lot. Oh, okay. So I was getting all of these, I was getting May, counting for each holiday. May. The whole thing. I was getting a list of all of those, and they were coming back to me in order. And so I had to figure a way around that. So what I did was I shuffled those products of that information into this variable B, which is also an empty array. And then I could manipulate that array and put out the holidays, but only the ones that were not, the months, but only the ones that were not repeated. So it would only, so this unique means unique, only give me back 1 January, 1 February, 1 December, you know? So that's how I decided to do that there. I'm sure there's other ways to do it, but that's how I chose to do it. And at the end, it says, please enter the name of the month you would like to see. And I put an example there, January. An example, like please put in January. And I made that green. And then I put in this month selection method. Then we're going to call on the month selection. So let's look at our month selection. Our month selection, when the user puts in its input right here, like here's the input, right? Input equals gets it, strips it, and then title case it. The reason why we wanted it title case this time is because, as you can see, the list of months are capitalized on the first letter, which they should be. That's how they're written. And so if I, just like I did here, I put it in all lowercase May, when that input comes in, you want to make sure that the computer sees this May and not that May, so that it's not an invalid entry because it is case sensitive. Because this May is not the same as this May. The computer doesn't actually read. Does that make sense? It's more of a picture to it than a actual characters and letters, but not all the time. That's another story. Um, So when the user input, when we call on this month selection, we want the input to come in here. We want the input to go into that month selection, whatever our person puts in, like whatever we put in, like May, and then we want to operate on that information. Okay, so I put MON, I guess for month, equals the USA holidays class, all of this information that it's doing here, right? All of this good stuff it's doing. And each one of those, this is how I want it set up, right? So for each holiday that comes through, what I would like it to do is number one, uh, put holiday, so that puts it right here, literally puts, yeah, holiday, and then I want it to get the month, not the month, the um, the name. So each one, each instance of the USA holidays, each one of those individually, the individual holiday, you want add the name, you want to put the name, right? So you holiday, add the name, make it magenta. Okay, the same thing here. You put the title date, and then you go get the date, and then you make it light red, and so on and so forth. And this right here, this double quotes is a space so that they weren't all smushed together, because that would have been very hard to read, I noticed. And these are our other two: invalid entry that we called in, and then we go right back to the menu, um, so that the person can start over. So it goes right back to the menu. And so if the input next equals month or exit, then it could give you that information and not just keep going over and over again saying invalid entry, invalid entry, invalid entry. Let me see, is there anything that I forgot to describe here? I think we kind of went over everything. All right. That, look at that, that. I described my executable bin. I described my CLI. I described my API and what that does. And I described this page. So I think that's it. This was a really fun project. These are, oh, you know what? I'll describe these. These are my folders that I created by using the bundler gem. Is it gem? Yeah. By using bundler, sorry, I keep saying bundler. And what that does is it creates all of these files for you right here. And then you can add more files, like what you want. Like I had to create all of these files. These are actually really easy to create. You can, so like if I wanted to create a file, what would I say? Maybe let's try this. Touch fries. So look, so now we have the file fries over here. That makes a file. And make directory would be a folder. Would it be a folder? Make directory Harpo. Harpo. Okay, let's see. Yeah, see now Harpo is a folder that you can go into. And so if you have like a make directory Harpo, you can actually go into the Harpo file, right? And then into the Harpo folder, and now you can create other files. Now you can put files in there. Touch Harpo's fries. And so look, when we go to Harpo here, Now, Harpo has Harpos and Fries. You know, it has two files called Harpos and Fries. But we want to delete this because this is not part of. I could delete it from the terminal, but yeah. And we want to delete Fries. Yes. Okay. So that was my CLI project. It was pretty fun. I can really see how I can use all of this, all of the things that I've learned here to build applications later on, whether it be my own for my own creative purposes or for my job, which I hope to get first. So thank you so much. Have a nice day. My name is Ariel Barclay, and happy holidays.